Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Laura and I like to craft stuff. I have so much scraps that I need to be working with, and so I've already done a whole bunch of strips here. But I had thought that I had already recorded the intro for this and talked about my plans for this, but apparently I didn't. And I have since been inspired to create something with these strips. So let's go over it. Starting out with, I have a whole bunch of plastic bins that I've sorted my scrap fabrics into color families. So we have like pink, purple, blue, etc., etc. Right now I'm working on the pinks, as you can see. So I have all of these strips. I really enjoyed, with the last scrap project, sewing the strips into like a gradient, but I don't necessarily want to sew these together because a lot of the fabrics are the same. I just have them in bits and pieces. And so I sewed all of these and then left it for a while. Well, I also sewed these, so we did longer strips that are thinner. I left it a while, and I've been thinking about it, and I think I want to turn this into a cathedral quilt. Like a cathedral window, stained glass window. I love cathedrals. I almost always, I've only been to Europe a couple times, but every time I've gone, I've made sure to stop by the churches and the cathedrals because they're just so beautiful. So that is what I'm thinking. I did draw out kind of what I'm thinking because I don't want to approach sewing curves for quilts yet. I'm sure once I learn it, it'll be fine, but I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. And I also didn't want to deal with applique. So I wanted to do something that was more angular. Can you see it? It was a rough sketch. I figured I could do diamonds instead of like the curved arches. And then I was also thinking for the rest of it, I have a whole bunch of gray fabric, like various grays. Like I have a larger bin for just my grays. And so I was thinking of doing 9 patches or even 16 patches or whatever to kind of represent like stone, but also to keep it with, I really like doing 9 patches and I think it would be cute. I don't know. It's like an interpretation, a quilted interpretation of a cathedral window. So I went and got black fabric. I got 3 yards. Black fabric. There it is, in case you didn't believe me. And I'm going to line the strips. So the strips are going to be the windows. And I'm going to line the strips with, I don't know, sizing. I might do an inch. I might do an 1.5 inches. I want it to be thin for the inside because the outside of the whole thing I want to be thicker. No, I'm off camera. Sorry about that. So, I also picked up, because I don't want to have to do too much math. I don't want to have to think too hard, okay? I picked up a diamond-shaped ruler. Okay. I picked up a diamond-shaped ruler, which is cool because I can make them smaller or larger. So that, I'm thinking I'm going to use these larger pieces to cut out the triangles for the center window. I think it'll look really cool. My other plan is I need to make more strips because these are not enough to do a full window. But I also was thinking about, depending on where I am at fabric-wise, I might pull out my purple scraps for the bottom of the windows. So it'll go from pinkish to purple. I also think that I'm going to do some repeating. So it'll be like each of these window lines will be gradient from light to dark, and then light to dark, and then light to dark. I think it'll look cool. It's like, again, an interpretation of a cathedral window. All right, I think I've explained enough. I need to get to work. I have a lot to do, and I'm really, really excited about this one. So stay tuned if you want to see how it turns out. Thanks. So one of the first things I went about after that clip was making more strips, longer strips, so sewing the gradients together, or ombre rather. I laid them all out on my, like next to my sewing machine in the order of like gradient so that I could just easily pull as I sewed. And here I am ironing them all. I have to say, going from light to dark in a fabric color and picking out through my scraps is something that I really enjoy. I really just love the way that they look, and the strips once ironed are just so satisfying, so satisfying. I did wind up having to pull out the purples to make more strips because they weren't long enough or wide enough. The pink fabrics that I had, or the pink fabrics that were winding up left over, were too close tone-wise to each other that it didn't make a satisfying gradient. Although, funny thing is, I did actually wind up having leftover strips, so I'll be in the same boat of not knowing what to do. Here I am with the diamonds. So I cut out the diamonds at, I think the ruler said 5 inches. It said like 5 inches was the cut, and then it would be 4.5 with the seam allowance, and that was just for the strips that have been sewn together. And then once I added the black strips around it, I then trimmed it down to the total, the largest size that the ruler was in. This was not my first batch on putting the border on the diamonds. I have not done diamonds before, and I actually really mucked up my first attempt because I did not watch a video first. And so I had to go and look up some diamond tutorials because it really, trying to do the star without any kind of assistance was really actually quite difficult. But this wound up working where I added one strip to one side at a time and then trimmed it down to match the other side. And I just kind of went around the whole diamond that way. And that was a lot easier than what I was originally trying to do. Okay, this is a check-in. I had to stop and do some things off camera because, and I don't know if I'll include the clip, but I filmed a process adding the black trim around all of my triangles. These are not triangles, these are diamonds, my goodness. Around all of the diamonds, and I didn't think about how I was doing it, and it became a mess, and I had to go look up some videos because I actually have not done diamonds before. So I was just going to have one strip in between all of them, but I think I'm going to do it so that each one is just a diamond because that's going to make it easier for my brain to put them together in the end. This has not been ironed, but essentially what I've done is sewn a strip, had it longer than the diamond, and then trimmed it in the same direction as the other line. So for this one, this needs to be trimmed off to be even with the edge of this part of the diamond, and then I'll add a strip here, trim off the edge so that it matches with this side of the diamond, and then add another strip and trim it so that it's even all the way around. That is how I am doing it. I'm not sure if that is ample enough instruction if you want to try to recreate this. I don't know that this is maybe necessarily the best video to use if you're trying to learn diamonds. I'm definitely glad, that I didn't do curves, but I'm also like, this is a challenge. I have challenged myself, so that's where we're at. I did get frustrated and had to stop, because when I get frustrated and I try to push through it, I tend to make more mistakes. So yeah, I didn't want to do that. So I undid them. I undid it all. I now need to do this process for all of these triangles. And then my plan is to have it all sewn together, and I can measure width-wise, and that should be the width that I need for my actual long glass panels, and so I can work on that instead of having to deal with diamonds for a little bit. Take a little more of a break, but this I kind of need to do in order to progress with pretty much the rest of the quilt. So that is where we're at. All right, I need to get back to work because there is quite a lot to do. I keep calling the diamonds triangles, and my editing software isn't the greatest, so I'm just sitting here giggling to myself because they're diamonds. And so I hope that everybody, when you hear triangle, I actually mean diamond. I do. I really mean diamond. After sewing on the strips, which I am here ironing, I did leave the diamonds alone for a while. I really needed to, because they definitely broke my brain. But here I am ironing them open. They look beautiful. There's little bits of thread because I had to take it all apart. But I am starting to get really excited about this project at this point. I'm having faith, even though there's issues, that it's going to work out. And then the next step was to trim them down to size. I wasn't sure how much footage I had really gotten of this, and oh my goodness, my hair is in the way. Laura. So the ruler that I got was from OmniGrid. It's a 60-degree diamond ruler. It does help you show that you can cut from strips so that you don't have to do it the way that I'm doing it. But I was messing around with silly little fabrics. So the final measurements, the cut with seam allowance is 6.5, and so the final diamond size is 6 inches. At least that's what I think I understand from reading this ruler. It's nice because it does give you the finished unit size as well as the size of the cut. It's just matching those up that gets a little confusing. And here's the star sewn together. I need to get measurements from the final star in order to figure out how wide I need my windows to be. So that is what I'm doing here, is figuring out that straight line and then measuring the width so that I can make my strips, my windows. Okay, check-in time. I finished my star. I got very frustrated, and I don't know that I'll include the mess up footage or not. And I may have already discussed this, because now that I'm speaking about it, I feel like I've discussed it before, but perhaps I haven't. I went ahead and did a border around all of the diamonds, and then I did a border around all of the diamonds and then trimmed that down to fit with the diamond ruler, and then I attached them as if they were all diamonds, because they were, like. So that was how I did it. I still have a little bit of bubbling and issues here in the center, and I think I'm gonna have to fix that a little bit. But overall, I am pleased because I now have my stained glass star, and I think it looks awesome. I am very excited. So, where we are now, I have I needed a little break from the diamonds. So I did go ahead and trim down and sew together some panels for the stained glass window portion. This is one. I'm going to do 4 total on each side, so we're going to have 2 pillars, and each of those pillars is going to have 4 of these. I did 1-inch black stripes in between the glass because I wanted them to be thinner than around the window star, if that makes any sense. So 1-inch stripes here. I didn't really care about the width necessarily, as long as the total was coming to above 2150, because I need to trim that down. 2150 is approximately the width of the star. And so I also need to do 2 more half stars for the other part of to be above the columns. And then, so I have 4 of these already done. Let's regroup. 4 of these already done. I have made and trimmed all of these. I had to make more, and I did include purple. So as we go down the columns, it's going to start to include purple in the panels. But I think it'll look nice. I also made some more of these that also have purple in it, so we'll have purple in the half stars that I need to make. And then I have been cutting strips 2.5 inches for my stone wall 9 patch. Stone wall 9 patch. Yeah, I separated all of my grays and blacks and whites into dark and light, and so that'll be how I'm attaching them. I'm leaving them in strips for the most part so that I can just sew the strips together and then cut them and sew them together that way. It should be a lot faster to do it that way. So we're about, I would say, halfway. We still have a lot to go, but I am so excited. I'm so excited for the final product of this. I really think it's going to look amazing. So, trucking on. I went ahead and continued on sewing the strips into panels for the windows. So here I am sewing the little black strips onto the side of the window panes, basically, in between the window panes or whatever. I figured doing that was easier than beginning the 9 patches, so that's where I started. And also more fun, because it's got the pretty gradients, pretty ombres. I didn't do this in the chain method. You could. I chose not to because I wanted to individualize each strip to match or like not match with the one above and the one below. So basically what I mean is, since there were various sizes, I didn't want the large sizes to match up with the large size above it. So I wanted to make sure they were staggered. So that's why I sewed them each side strip by strip so that I could lay them out as I went. And I think that worked really well. The final layout doesn't bother me on the size. I think that having maybe more of a uniform size from like the length of the sewn together strips could have helped better, but overall it does look really cool. Spoilers. And then, like I said I would, with the strips, I sewed them together in 3s, and I made sure that when I was sewing them together that I did alternating dark to light. So one is dark on the outsides with light in the middle, and then the next one is light on the outsides with dark in the middle. And I did try to match up fabrics because I did have enough that they were long enough to match up and have its own 9 patch that has all of the same fabrics. Not all of my 9 patches wound up having all of the same fabrics, but a lot of them did, and I like the way that it looks. And then I went ahead and cut these into 2.5 strips the other way. And this is how I do my 9 patches. So I have them in alternating strip colors, and then I just sew them together in 3s, alternating the center strip to make that 9 patch. Super easy. I love 9 patches so much. I'm certain that I will incorporate them into future projects. I am very, very certain. I also like, I know at the beginning I said more grays, but I like that I did white and dark strips. So the light strips are mostly white strips. It balances out with the darkness of this stained glass window, in my opinion. All right, this is check-in number whatever. I don't know how many others I've filmed. I'm currently house sitting and pet sitting this one, Eddie Bobetti. Isn't he just so cute? Isn't he just so cute? He's so cute. Oh, Eddie. I have sewn all of my windows. I use 2.5-inch strips for in between the window panels. And then I did 1-inch strips for in between each panel in each window. I hope that makes sense. I hope you can understand what I'm talking about. Luckily for me, for house sitting, I get a living room that I can take over. And so I have this laying out so that I can kind of see where I need to go next. I have a mountain of nine patches. Why am I blanking? Oh my goodness. I have a mountain of gray 9 patches, and I've been laying out more of the stars. And I think what I'm gonna do, so I like these 3 here. I'm not so sure about these 2. I have 3 other panels that I get to sew. Eddie knows what I'm talking about. Okay, bye Eddie. I need to cut those up so that I have a few other panels that have strips sewn together like I did for the main star. So I need to cut those up and see if I like them better. And then I need to fill in the gaps for the eventual final triangle at the top that I'm gonna do. Like that. And so basically, I'm unsure if I wanna do it black, which would be so much easier because I'm kind of tired of sewing strips together. Or I could use more of these diamonds to kind of fill in and like make all of it look like stained glass. I think I'm gonna go with the first one because it's easier and because I didn't bring all of my scraps with me. But I might, because there are 2 that are gonna be right here in between the stars, the half stars, I might take these 2 and put them here, and then the rest will be black in the triangle, the final triangle. The next bit that I need to do, is this as far out as I can go? It looks like. All right, so the next bit I also want to do is I'm gonna do 3-inch strips for the sides of the window, and then the final strips at the top, I want to kind of just do one piece, but that'll also be 3 inches for top and bottom to kind of frame the entire window. So my triangle, my final triangle strips will probably also be the 3 inches, depending on where we're at. And then the rest is just filling in with 9 patches. I didn't realize that the video clip got turned off actually, so I apologize for that. But filling in the 9 patches is the final step basically. That part took me a couple days to work on. You can see me here sewing those 9 patches together. I always line up by the seams of the squares. So if there's a little bit on the extra on the outside, that's not a problem. All right, one of the final check-ins probably. I have all of the 9 patches sewn together there, so that is a strip. This is all sewn together. This is sewn together. So basically I have all of these strips remaining, and then I have this part to do. Now here's the thing. Hi, Eddie. Eddie wants to join the video. So here's the thing is, this angle that these diamonds are on would be a different angle than like just doing a half square. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you. Where he's standing, I have sewn the 9 patches into 2 panels. I need to sew these left into panels, and what I'm thinking is, where you can see that square here. Oh, come over here. I'm going to sew them all so that they're overlapping where the triangle is, the final triangle, and then I'm going to trace where the triangle goes and sew them on that way, and then probably trim them off later. I'm not going to do a final border, I think, around the final triangle because it does look so nice. Because of the diamonds, though, I feel like the triangle point maybe went too high. And I also feel like had I had all of my scraps with me, I think that doing more stained glass windows inside the triangle would have looked better. But that being said, I'm so excited about the progress. I'm really excited about this main window panel. I think it looks amazing. I think the 9 patches look awesome. And next time you see this, I'm probably going to be finished with it. So, yay! Eddie, say yay! All right. And here it is, finished. I absolutely love this quilt. Yes, the top of the cathedral window is a little long, but I don't care. I am so excited about the final finished product. I can't wait to get it quilted. I think it'll look amazing on a bed. I really, after all of the struggle that I had with those stars, I'm so happy to have this quilt looking as beautiful as it does. I think the way that I went about doing the top part with the angle of the 9 patches and having it overlap, and then just using the angle of the top of the triangle worked out really well. There are some spots that are a little wonky, but that's going to happen with every quilt. It usually happens with every quilt. I am still mostly a beginner, I guess. This was a challenge, but like I said, absolutely worth it. I may attempt this down the line because it was so fun. I might do it slightly different, but yeah, this was an absolute blast, and I am excited to do more things like this. Thank you all so much for watching and joining me. I would love it if you liked or subscribed if you wanted to. I plan on doing a little bit of a simpler quilt in the next one, that is for sure. But that being said, I have a lot of projects in mind, and I would love it if you joined me in the future. All right, thanks again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!